also knew the shepherd image very well. So let's talk about being in rhythm with God and the life and times of Jesus. Would you stand, please? Let's say it together. If you need the help with the Hebrew, great. Shema Israel. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad. Together. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Amen. Say these words after me. You are my friends.
You are my friends.
If you love one another.
You love one another.
I no longer call you servants.
I no longer call you servants.
A servant does not know his master's business.
A servant does not know his master's business.
Instead, I call you friends.
Instead, I call you friends.
Everything God taught me,
Everything God taught me,
I have taught you.
I have taught you.
These are the very words of God.
These are the very words of God.
Amen. Please sit down. That's John 15. Let me take you to the Galilee under the theme, the dust of the rabbi. Again, this is from my teaching experience at the college level. One whole course is going to come out of what we do in the next hour and 15 minutes. So anyway, these were the three main provinces besides Jesus' home province in his day. Decapolis was pagan, largely Greek and Roman. By pagan, I don't mean to put them down. I mean they're just Gentiles, pagan, goyim. Samaria were those half-breed, subhuman folks from the Jewish point of view. And I say that biting my tongue, but I want to show you that that was really true. The Judeans are, and I don't know how to say this nicely, these are the let's never change anything from the way we've always done it folks. The real traditionalists. They didn't dance in their synagogues. That's hokum and entertainment. They don't raise their hands when they sing. You're losing friends. Put them down. They didn't believe that rabbis could heal. That passed with the prophets. They didn't believe ordinary people should be given the Torah. They can't handle it. The Judeans were very much, I don't want to use the word conservative because conservative has to do with whether they took the Bible seriously. Everybody took the Bible seriously. In that sense, everybody is conservative. But when it came to tradition, those are the real traditionalists. Okay, quick history lesson. The Jews were taken out of Israel in 586. Remember the story? Babylonian captivity. The land was largely emptied, especially Galilee, either by death or by exile. 70 years later, there's now a huge community of Jews in Babylon and very few in Israel. Cyrus, king of Persia, said, Ezra, Nehemiah, Zerubbabel, you may go home. Do you remember how many Jews went back? 22,000, which meant 500,000 to 1 million stayed in Babylon. Those who went back settled here and became the Judeans. The folks who stayed in Babylon apparently thought, we can serve God here, we've got the Torah. And not only that, but it's still under Persia, so why move from one place to another? We're still not free. So they stayed in Babylon. Babylon became the biggest Jewish community in the world in Jesus' day. Then came the Greeks, the Seleucid Greeks, the Ptolemy Greeks, and then came the Maccabees. The Maccabees defeated the Seleucid Greeks, and for the first time in 167, the Jews were free. At that point, as many as 250,000 Jews come back from Babylon and say, finally the country is free, we're coming home. Where do you think they settled? The one empty place, the province of Galil, Ha-Galil, the Galilee. They founded cities like Cana and Nazareth and Capernaum and Magadan and Magdala and Gennesaret and Gamla and Chorazin and Bethsaida. Are you listening? No, that's the Jewish way to say it. Are you hearing? Those are the cities of Jesus' world. Now, these people were intensely patriotic, largely blue-collar, hard-working immigrants. They came home to the homeland. They were extremely emotional, charismatic. They danced in their synagogues. Their rabbis could heal. They were passionate about their faith. They wore their faith on their sleeve, in their heart, right on their sleeve. Who was Jesus? A Galilean, not a Judean. The Judeans couldn't stand him. Where did you study, you Galileans? with your accents. Who do you think you are? There's huge tension between Judean and Galilean. And what I'm going to tell you is Galilean, not Judean. And if you're going to follow up on this at all, or use it someday, or even adopt it as part of what you think would be a way to follow Jesus, you need to make that distinction. Because you can read the Judean literature and find out that that's not at all how the system was. You need to read the Galilean literature. And that was my background. I studied in the Orthodox Jewish tradition of Lubavitch, and Lubavitch traces their descent directly to the Galileans. So I had an opportunity to see in modern form what Jesus would have known. There were 3 villages, and I'm being generous, that are the core of the Galilee religiously. Capernaum, Chorazin, and Bethsaida. Jesus chose Capernaum for his home. Born in Bethlehem, grew up in Nazareth, but he did his rabbi work, not his Messiah work, that's Jerusalem. Well, you can say you can't separate the two, I understand, but his atoning death, that's Jerusalem. But his rabbi work was out of Capernaum. So let me take you there. Some of you have been there. Here's the Sea of Galilee, right up above Magadan, if you recall. And there are the ruins, parts of the ruins of the city of Capernaum. Now, I like to take people in here, but it's hard for people to appreciate. This is a 4th century synagogue. It was built in the 400s, end of the 3, beginning of 400s. It's built on top of the one from Jesus' day. You can see beneath it the outline of another one. What blows people's minds, if you know anything about Judaism, is the size. The school connected to Capernaum Synagogue is the largest synagogue school ever found until the 1500s. It was huge. I don't know how to describe this. I say sometimes to students at our school, I say, this is Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Oxford. I don't know what else you want to put in there. This was the best of the best. And that's where Jesus went. He's not a backward peasant in some little village where most people quit after 3rd grade. This guy's at Harvard. Well, let's forget Harvard. This guy's at Princeton or Yale or Oxford. Okay? Now you need to feel the power of this, because the system was the same for all of them. So what was the system? There are 2 types of rabbis that existed in 1st century Galilee. Underline the word Galilee. This is not true in Judea. 2 types of Jewish rabbis. The ordinary dime store type, and I say that with biting my tongue, were called Torah teachers. What word do we use in English for Torah? Law. I don't like this. It's true. But Torah is so much bigger than law. Torah has law, but it's much bigger. It's like saying, RVL, you're a parent, therefore you're a disciplinarian. Well, that's true, at least in the past. When my kids were little, I had to be a disciplinarian occasionally. But parent is much bigger than disciplinarian. Torah is much bigger than law. So what was a Torah teacher? A Torah teacher, first of all, was a master of Torah. Baal Torah, you say in Hebrew. Master of Torah means he knew it by memory. Okay? I'll come back to that. Second, he was a master teacher. Parables. Delightful ways of making things stick. The rabbis call it shanan. Great teachers. Third, he was recognized by the community. He didn't get a diploma. He didn't have a degree. You know, that's one of the things that hit me, and I don't want to offend somebody here, but I'll tell you honestly, when I started the Jewish setting, I remember the first day of class, and there's 32 of us.